Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast.
I'm Katie.
I'm Charlotte, and today we're going to be discussing The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a very hard read. Not
Yes.
just, because the vocabulary is difficult, but it's very hard to sit with.
Yes.
Regardless.
It
One
is
of the
an
best
amazing
books,
book.
yeah.
Yes.
So, do we want to just jump right into conceptual question?
Sounds good to me.
So, our conceptual question was, what is loyalty?
Mm-hmm.
Katie, do you want to start off with that? And what do you think loyalty is?
Okay, so to me, loyalty is without a doubt standing up for the people you love or the people or what you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt doing what you think is right or trying to, make things right. So to me, it's like if one of my best friends was hurt by somebody, my loyalty is obviously going to be to my best friend in the situation. So just absolute, I don't really know what the word is, but absolute faith to the person or the thing that you believe in.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know what page it is.
That's okay.
I'm trying to wrestle through and find it, but
You're good.
I think that I agree with you. Loyalty is standing up for the people you believe in, not necessarily the things.
Mm-hmm.
And in the book, when Hassan pushes Asif against the tree,
Yes.
he put his life on the line just to protect Amir for a sliver of a second even.
Yeah.
And I think that is loyalty.
Yes.
Because no matter what, even in the face of fear, Hassan was ready to stake his life in order to attempt to save his friends or give his friend a better life.
Yeah.
And again, I think this is obvious, but I think as we've seen with Amir, he, in the alleyway,
Mm-hmm.
did not stand up for Hassan. He could have intervened, but he watched the whole thing go down, and that in itself is just not loyalty.
No. I agree 100% in that the fact that Hassan being a Hazara and being the servant class to Amir, who's a Pashtun, and the fact that he's still loyal to him, even though there's that divide, is really, really powerful. And I'm trying to find the first time he says it, but I found on page 70, it's quoted, and he says, "He rested an arm on the mule's back, pointing south. I think I saw the boy you described running that way. He had a kite in his hand, a blue one." And this is this is a couple pages before the scene in the alleyway. And Amir goes, "He did?" I said, "For you 1,000 times over, he'd promised. Good old Hassan, good old reliable Hassan. He'd kept his promise and run the last kite for me." And that is like
a punch to the gut.
Yeah, punch to the gut, because this is all right before
the
alley, and it's right before Amir doesn't do anything to stand up for him, even though the loyalty here from Hassan is actually so insane.
I know, and I'm also trying to find it. So this is, like you were saying, it's right before the alley, and it's right after they win the kite contest.
Yes.
And Hassan, or Amir, throughout this whole story has never really been loyal. He's never showed that, level of loyalty, but...
Right.
And I don't think that he was, at least when they were children. But one thing that, did kind of strike me of one of his, better moments... It said, Hassan and I were both hopping up and down, both of us laughing, both of us weeping. "You won, Amir Aga, you won." And immediately after that, Amir says, "We won.
Yeah.
So no matter if his actions, and again, I'm not excusing them, but no matter if his actions don't speak that loud, at least he thought, oh, well, this is a joint thing.
Yeah.
And he goes from we won to watching Hassan go through what he did in the alley.
Yeah.
And just helplessly with that. So I think that you summed it up really well.
Thank
that
you.
scene.
So did you.
Thank you.
What page was that on?
That was on page 67, I believe.
Okay.
Page 67.
Just so we're aware.
Sorry, I should have.
No, you're all good. I just wanted
page 66.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to go back to this part here with the kite running. One of the things we're going to talk about later we might skip back and forth to
Yeah.
it, is like the fact that there's only 2 actual kite running scenes in the book, and how that like changes from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the loyalty aspect actually plays in a lot to Amir's character development,
Mm-hmm.
because in this first part here, obviously it's Hassan saying "for you 1,000 times older," and spoilers, if you haven't read the book, turn the podcast off. We were in sync with that. But the very last page, and I'm gonna like start crying because it's just like so touching.
Yeah.
How he changes. For context, Amir is talking to Hassan's son, which is Amir's half nephew.
Yeah. Half nephew.
Yeah. And this is after Sohrab, which is his half nephew's name, has been like basically comatose for like an entire, like it's been like a year or something after a whole thing happened, which we'll probably talk about.
Yeah. You can't really skip that.
Yeah, I can't really skip that. And sorry,
No, you're good.
Amir goes, "Do you want me to run that kite for you?" His Adam's apple rose and fell as he swallowed. The wind lifted his hair. I thought I saw him nod. "For you 1,000 times over," I heard myself say. Then I turned and ran. It was only a smile, nothing more. It didn't make everything all right. It didn't make anything all right. Only a smile. A tiny thing. A leaf in the woods, shaking in the wake of a startled bird's flight. And literally, I'm already tearing up because the way that changes in, how many pages is it? 300 pages.
Yeah.
From Hassan being the one running the kite and being the one completely loyal and being the one who is sacrificing everything for Amir, to Amir being the one sacrificing everything for Hassan's son, is just like
It's
full circle.
And it's such a big character development. I mean, it's one of the best I think I've ever read. And he also says right before that, I looked down at Sohrab. One corner of his mouth had curled up just so, a smile, lopsided. So for context, if you don't already know, Hassan had a hair lip, which meant that it was like a cut right here, and so it looked like he was kind of permanently smiling.
Yeah.
And his son inherited that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was nearly as bad, but it was just like a lopsided smile.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful in itself, because not only is it full circle for Amir, but it is for Hassan through his son.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. The end is just like, it's so beautiful.
It was so like
hard to read.
It was so hard to read, but the ending made up for it enough. And I was actually debating this with my mom yesterday, and she was like, "But is the ending like redeeming enough?" And I was like, "Without a doubt, like, the ending is redeeming enough."
And when books finish and it just doesn't feel like a finish, like it feels like it's rushed and they just had to put a pause on it.
Right.
That's my least favorite thing, but I think that Khaled Hosseini, I didn't say that right. That's the whitest thing I've ever said. But I think that he really knows how to write a story. And it's like, I'm not an Afghani, I'm not racially different, like in that big class divide, but he's written the book in such a way that it makes you feel such deep empathy. And Amir, I think, is a really great protagonist because he shows he's not good.
No.
He's like morally gray.
Yeah.
But he shows that it's possible.
Unlike his father,
yourself.
Who's black and white. Sorry, we get to talk about that too. But yeah, sorry, I totally interrupted.
No, you're totally fine. And I think this kind of, are we done with that loyalty question?
Yeah, if you want.
I think this kind of goes to one of the other questions we had, and it was, I think, like, is it possible to atone past mistakes?
Yeah.
I think that kind of flows nicely
It does.
into that. I'll just, like, say a little spiel on that. I think that it is possible in some spirits. I think that you really have to try it, and like Amir did. This sounds terrible, but he was a terrible child.
He was. He wasn't a good...
He was awful to his best friend. Yeah. He betrayed. He lied, stole, metaphorically.
Yeah.
But as he became an adult and after he moved to America, he really redeemed himself.
Yeah.
And I think that if you really try and, like, that is your goal, and you have no other intentions, you're not doing it to make yourself feel better, you're doing it for the good.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to atone your past mistakes. What do you think?
I agree. I think, well, in like a lot of different shows and even books I read, there's this whole thing like, oh my gosh, if you're a bad person, you're going to hell. Or if you're a bad person, you're not going to get redemption for that.
Black and white.
Black and white, black and white, black and white. It's literally just like, oh, you've stolen? Well, you're a bad person. But it's also like, well, I stole because I was starving and my kids were going to die.
Yes.
And when I got money, when I was able to get money back, I repaid what I stole. Like, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, well, yes, you stole.
But it's not so black and white.
It's not so black and white. And I think Khaled really does such an amazing job in this book.
Sorry, I'm interrupting.
You're good.
But it is just, this book, genuinely, I think I'm probably going to buy a copy for myself.
Same.
That's how good
I want it
is.
in my bookcase.
Yeah, like, I want to be able to just read this.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about him, is that he's not afraid to make his characters bad.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of authors or directors or, writers are afraid to make your characters bad.
Yeah.
But everybody, unfortunately, is a little bit bad. I mean, you can't be
the truth.
Great to survive in this world.
Yeah.
And that's the really hard truth, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And I think that you're so right. I think that it's so black and white, like Baba. It is just good or bad, but that's not true. And he really blends that line.
He does.
So beautifully with Amir.
Mm-hmm.
And Hassan's a great example of how to be good and how to, because he's always explained as this, like, pure, like, good intentioned.
Right.
Hassan makes mistakes. Like, we all do, but he is good intentioned.
Yeah.
And I think that Amir is a really, really great example of, I'm not good, but I'm trying to be better.
That is, I couldn't have put that better myself.
Also, I think this is time, because we have 2 minutes left.
Just really quick, I want to say something,
go ahead.
just so we can come back to it. I want to find the page where Baba is talking about is talked about being as black and white, and then I want to talk about how he isn't black and white. Even the character that is said to be black and white is not, because he doesn't tell the truth, and he steals and he like slept with another man's wife, like all of this stuff. And we're gonna go into that and talk about how he probably overshadows Amir, and once Baba's dead, Amir actually is able to get free from that. So we'll come back to talk to that in part 2.
All right, perfect.
Yes.